This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire, the no-show. Who set you back because they didn't show up on day one, or day two, or ever again. And now your product launch is delayed because you're talking to alien abduction podcasters to track them down. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can help make sure your next hire sticks. In fact, businesses who use LinkedIn are 24% less likely to reopen a role in the next 12 months. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast instead of doom scrolling? Smart move. Another smart move? Getting help from one of State Farm's 19,000 local agents when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Cocktails up here feel just right. Is Cambria amazing? All right. Bring a date, your team, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com. See you on the roof.
This summer, say I do.
I am marrying a stranger.
Like never before.
Am I crazy?
It's a whole new Married at First Sight on Peacock.
Thank God I woke up in love.
With new experts.
My name is Dr. Lisa.
My name is Paul Brunson.
More couples.
This could be the start of a very successful marriage.
And more surprises.
Or maybe not.
Everything is just not enough.
You're a little bit crazy.
I don't know what's gonna happen.
I want my fairy tale ending.
Married at First Sight, now streaming. New episodes Thursdays, only on Peacock.
Hello and welcome to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. I'm Teacup.
And I'm She-Cup, and we are so excited to bring you this podcast dedicated to unraveling all the mysteries woven in to the Assassin's Creed universe.
Each episode will be diving into a different lore discussion, from Pieces of Eden, solar flares, and the Isu to the Hidden Ones, the Order of Ancients, and of course, the Animus. We will seek to uncover it all.
So step into the Animus, join us in the shadows, and maybe even take a leap of faith. Hello and welcome to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. My name is Shelby. You also know me as She-Cup, and I'm here with my co-host.
Hey, I am Austin or Teacup.
That you are, and I think we're here with another Assassin or Templar episode, so why don't you tell us who we're talking about today?
All right, today I'm going to preface this with this is a fairly famous person, a fairly often quoted person. I feel like we are talking about the memoirist, poet, and civil rights activist Maya Angelou.
Yeah, she is super famous, and if you've studied history, you know her, but I don't think she's up there with FDR or, I think we've covered John Lennon, some of these other people that are household names. I think in some households she absolutely is a household name, but not every household.
Yeah. And that is a good point in that we have her works, which is really what I'm going to focus on for a lot of stuff. We're going to read one of her more famous poems in the end of this episode, but we don't really know a lot about what she believed and championed other than her championing in civil rights and being present in these moments.
Right.
Her allegiances kind of are said by what she attends, where she is.
Well, in her writings.
Yes, and in her writings. Which is kind of the difference between when we do someone that's more artistic in this conversation versus a political figure. Because when we have a political figure, we can talk about policies and beliefs and things like that. But when we have a writer, we can only really talk about their writers. And like I said, in the second half, we will read one of her poems that is my personal favorite of hers. But I'm ready to dive in if you are. All right. So as I said, Maya Angelou was an American memoirist, poet, and civil rights activist. She died in 2014 at the age of 86, which I wanted to note is notable because a lot of the early civil rights leaders die young-ish.
Well, you have some that die. I feel like they either die really young, they get assassinated, or they live forever.
Right. I mean, James Cone died after Maya Angelou, I'm pretty sure. I remember because we were in seminary when he died.
Yeah, well, the one I was thinking of, John Lewis, I think he died during COVID times.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway.
All right. So she became a poet and writer after a string of odd jobs during her young adulthood, which are just like a sims of like being a waitress and other just general jobs that she would hold down. Until she becomes a poet writer because she begins to work very, very closely with both MLK and Malcolm X. She was instrumental in establishing and financing both Malcolm X's and MLK's movements, which is just like, this is like a huge trend in history going all the way back to the Bible. If you've had these people that were out doing these either ministries or activism movements, and they were financed by women.
Yeah, financed by women especially, but also financed just by like people that society didn't deem worthy of like being the face of a movement, whether it's women or, a slave or a person of color or, just somebody that wasn't wealthy, or wasn't, looked at as somebody who would be of the wealthy class. It's like, those are the people that have been bankrolling, Jesus's ministry, the civil rights movement. There's actually tons of things like that out there. Every like king ever,
Right, exactly. But I think that that's important of, we don't really talk about that a lot of times of like MLK and Malcolm X and these people, like they were not wealthy. They had to get the money for what they were doing from somewhere. I mean, at the very least, to bail people out of jail.
Right. And it's absolutely about bailing people out of jail, but also the boycotts that they did. I mean, you can't just boycott a bus system for months on end and not help people get to their jobs. You can't just boycott your jobs and expect people not to be able to pay their bills. It's one of the reasons why, modern day protests aren't effective, because we don't have that kind of resource pool, or we don't have somebody that's willing to do that. And, it's a different time, so it's hard to compare. But yes, absolutely, they needed the people there that could fund the community efforts, could fund the work that allowed them to do these protests in the first place.
Right, exactly. And like her sitting this point is like really, really important in this. And I want to pause and kind of like jump into the Assassin's Creed universe here for a little bit, in that like the assassins also operate like this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is exactly the same thing the assassins do.
Right, like you think like the auditory wealth funds the Italian Brotherhood and like other points of wealth that they make, because they're not getting paid to assassinate people. I know in like the game mechanic we get gold at the end of the mission, but like no one's paying them to take down political things. They befriend nobles, they do things like that. And in the American colonies, like there's a reason that Achilles knows all of these revolutionaries, because that's how he funds stuff. I'm not saying that it's impossible for someone like Achilles to own a manor or the homestead that he does in the 1700s, but he would have needed help.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very unlikely for someone like Achilles to just pull himself up by his bootstraps the good old American way and power through. Just because of who he is and the time period that he's in.
Right, exactly. And so like I don't want to get into like her life because you can read her memoirs and that explains her life and things like that, and I think that that is the best way to learn about her. So I'm not going to dive right back in there, but if you want to read I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, it is a great book. In some circles, she is considered one of the greatest writers and poets of the 20th century. In other literary circles, there were several authors and historians and writers who kind of like equated her with like chicken soup for the soul style of writing.
I don't think that's accurate at all.
I don't think that is. I think that she is like, is she going to be as like revolutionary as I'm thinking of other writers? Like, you know, we think about these great poets that like we study in school that are mainly all white people. Like, I think she is skilled in there, but I also think that she is an important voice that inspires other people to do similar things.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a book we read in grad school that's called Nobody Cries When We Die, which is another memoir. Similar like that. I don't think that book would have happened if Maya Angelou hadn't come first.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from, and I think one of the reasons why people kind of poo-poo on her writing and other writers like her is because they see the simplicity of like the poems, and I think people have a tendency to see, oh, this simplistic writing equals bad, or oh, it's not very good, or it's not very skilled writing. And I personally, I don't agree with that. I think it's much, much, much more difficult to make a point in one sentence than it is in a paragraph. And so, yeah, I think that's how people approach it sometimes mistakenly.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think that that's fair. And I think that like, I think you have to consider someone like Maya Angelou and anyone who comes after her of like the importance of their work in the context in which it's written.
Yeah.
Like the historical context and like the voice that is given, the unspoken, like the people who don't have a voice that are given voice by her writing what she writes.
Right. Exactly. And it's like, even just the title of her memoir, if you are a downtrodden person in America, like instantly you understand what she is saying with the title, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings.
Exactly.
Because that is what you are.
Mm-hmm. And great little segue. Her works are often centered and focused and quoted in especially third wave feminist movement and womanist movements, as well as general civil rights movements. You see her works and quotes from her coming over and over again. Notably, her memoir, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, is banned in many public school systems across America for depicting lesbianism, premarital cohabitation, pornography, and violence. To which my response simply is, but we can read Shakespeare.
Yeah, the book banning thing is a soapbox of mine, personally. I mean, I don't want to get into it, but like, I think about some of the things we read in school, like we can read Heart of Darkness, but we can't read I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. We can read, I mean, Romeo and Juliet. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, there's just tons and tons of stuff that we can nitpick on this all day. But at the end of the day, the only reason why people actually ban books is for a political agenda rather than an actual legitimate educational one.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And like, I think about the books that I read in high school that are now banned, which are like To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah, it's crazy that that's banned. Like,
and Mouse, which is a graphic novel about World War II. And the Nazi concentration camps. And like there's a running theme in all of these.
Right.
And if you look close enough, you can see it. In all of her works, she values individualism, kindness, equality, and a sense of self-love and pride. Those are the central things that go through her work with that. Do you have any last thoughts about Maya Angelou before we can head to our mid-break? And then we will read her poem, Still I Rise, and then we'll talk about where is she on this spectrum.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add other than like I wish we knew more about her personal life and her history and involvement in the civil rights movement. But, you know, at the end of the day, maybe also she wanted to keep her life private. I can understand that too.
There is more like in her actual books that you read, and you can find that kind of like details that you're craving in the books.
Yeah, that's fair. I just don't have time to reread this.
That's fair.
But yeah, no, let's go to the mid-break.
This episode is brought to you by Perfect Bistro Cat Food. Hey guys, today I'm interviewing my cat about his Perfect Bistro food. Percy, you seem to be a big Perfect Bistro fan. Care to comment? Totally. What do you like about it? You love the high-quality ingredients? And the delicious flavors, of course. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Listen to Percy, guys. Visit perfectbistro.com to try it for your cat.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel, maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
You look like the one thing in the world Alcibiades wouldn't take to bed. Can you even see out of that thing?
Mock all you want. When those Malakas and Zakros see this beast charging towards them, they will know fear!
Let's start light. Tell me a joke.
Why must samurai always battle one another? Because there is only one way for a samurai to get ahead. Ahead. I did not say it was a good joke.
Makose! Shoot! Shoot a flying demon!
All right, welcome to the middle of the show. This is where we take time to talk about all the things that have to do with the lore cast and not the lore of Assassin's Creed. Now, the first thing that we do every mid-break is shout out all of our amazing patrons. Thank you all so much for supporting us, for financially supporting the show. We truly could not keep doing it without you. And if you would like to become a patron and get in on those amazing rewards, merch, t-shirts, early access to episodes, ad-free access to episodes, and voting in our patron chat polls and suggesting topics for the Lorecast, you can join at patreon.com/AC Lorecast. And that's patreon.com/AC Lorecast. If you can't support the show financially, the next best way to do so is to tell somebody about us, leave a comment, follow, subscribe, leave us a rating, review, whatever you can, wherever you can. And if you leave us some kind words, 5 stars on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple, we will read out on a future episode of the show. And so today I have one to read from Rackzut, who commented on Spotify and said, I used to be part of y'all's Discord a couple of years ago, and then I had a bad turn in my life and I lost nearly everything. Now I'm back and I'm starting the podcast from the beginning, and I missed y'all a lot. Thank you so much for listening to the show. So sorry you've had such a hard time in your life, but I'm so thankful you've made it through and are back listening to the show. Thanks again. Next, the last thing I have to shout out is our Discord server. If you want to come hang, definitely join us on Discord. It's the best place on the internet. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is open the floor to Austin. I know you played a little bit more of Black Flag Resynced. I don't know if you had any other kind of first impressions you wanted to share with the listeners, or if you're just kind of still on the same page as last week.
I'm fairly much in the same page as last week. I still have some I'm having some gripes more of Edward just looks really off to me. And it's probably my biggest gripe with the game right now. Also, it's hard. It's a lot harder than I remember.
Is it harder than you remember, or well, I guess is it actually harder, or is it just it's harder because you haven't played the game in so long?
No, it's harder than I remember because I played Rogue recently, which is the same kind of combat style as the original Black Flag. Remember? So
yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at. But I kind of just feel like where I'm at with this is that it's just like they scaled it to where you used to be able to kind of cheese your way whether out of difficult areas, and you can't do that now.
Okay, interesting.
I tried to attack a fort and got surrounded by 5 man-o'-wars, and I was just like, oh, I can't do this until I get my ship upgraded fully.
I mean, I remember it being like that.
It was, but if it's harder. But I mean, it's similar, but it's harder than it used to be.
Okay. Well, if that's all, we can get back into the rest of the show.
All right, let's do it.
When you're a mid-sized business, you need every competitive advantage you can get. Like an AI solution that works for you, not against you. SAP Grow is built with AI embedded at its core, working across every system. And it's ready to go from day one, so you can hit the ground running. Bring it with SAP Grow, AI Cloud ERP for any size business.
This episode is brought to you by Adobe Firefly, the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video generation. Built for today's creative process, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, and the timelines? Woo, yeah, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Learn more at adobe.com/firefly.
United connects you to more of the world than any U.S. airline, and United for Business can get your company where you need to go. Whether you're growing a business or managing travel for thousands, they offer solutions to fit your needs. Track expenses, create reports, and manage traveler perks. Plus, employees earn Mileage Plus miles while your company saves on travel. Get started with no minimum spend or flight requirements. Visit business.united.com/podcast.
No, you're right. Let's all just screw around while the world falls to pieces.
Hey, this isn't easy, you know.
Right, like we're all on vacation out here?
Enough! Look, everyone's under a lot of pressure, but we're the only ones who can stop Abstergo, so we need to keep it together.
She's right. We need to be a hive mind, people.
Anybody up for some reconciliatory yoga? Anyone?
Very funny, guys.
You have my thanks. Keep the sword, Ezio. Do I know you from somewhere? Don't you recognize me? It's me, Mario! Uncle Mario? It's been too long, Nipote. Far too long.
Malaka! Malaka! Malaka!
Okay, so Maya Angelou has one of her most famous poems, and my personal favorite is called Still I Rise. And so what I want to do is I'm going to read this, and then we're just going to kind of talk some response to it, and then we'll dive into whether or not Maya Angelou would be an assassin or Templar. And so here we go. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like the moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I rise. Do you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my hauntingness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from the past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I am a black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. I think this poem really sums up what Maya Angelou believed. I think that it sums up her journey and her life and doing all of that. And I also think you could post this as assassin's propaganda.
Okay. I mean, I think I hear where you're coming from, but I think I'm almost hesitant to say this, but it's too happy. It's too positive to be assassin propaganda. To me, it reads more like, if we're going to put a lens on this, I think it reads more as somebody who lived a life of an assassin who spent their days working away, assassinating people, working for the cause, and then they gave up on it. They walked away from it and they decided to make happiness of their own accord somewhere else.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear what you're saying here. And I think that, like, one thing that we often forget, because the assassins' lives are so often tragic, but at the core of the assassin's creed and beliefs is a hope in the best of humanity.
Absolutely true. But have we ever seen an assassin that got to have a happy life? The silence is deafening. Happy moments, absolutely. Happy times, yes, for sure.
I think.
But a happy life?
I think we have to happy, maybe not. Fulfilled, definitely. I think there are assassins who do that.
I think those are two separate things.
And I really do think that both Ezio and Altair look back, when they die at their old age, they look back on their life and they have no regrets.
Yeah, I think they're content with their lot.
And, you know, I think Ezio has a reflection of, like, I may not have gotten he has a speech at the end of his life where he is like, you know, in my youth, I wasted away and wasted good moments. I was chasing something and I took for granted what was right in front of me. And I think he reflects back on that, and that's like a regret that he has, but it's not like a regret of like, oh, I wish I did that. It's more of a thing of like, my life's been hard. I've worked for what I have now. Don't make the same mistakes I did. You know, I feel like that's different. And I feel like this poem in there is like the sense of like the assassin ideology of like the true hopefulness of the Assassin's Creed, which is that there will always be people who want to stand against tyranny. And I think that like the dream and hope of the slave, I think, is at the core of what the assassins represent.
Yeah. I agree with that. I do. And I also think reading it from the assassin's lens is like the first stanza is very much like first and second one, really, but like just talking about how like if you're an assassin, the Templars, you can say whatever you want about me. You can write whatever you want about me in your books, in your newspapers, in your newsletters, whatever you want to say about me, you can say. But it doesn't matter because you can put out these bitter, twisted lies in your history books, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, there will always be people standing up for freedom. There will always be people rising up to combat your control over the world.
And I think about this, especially since I've been playing Black Flag, and like someone like because like Mary Read or James Kidd, as she is then, you don't have to tell her and explain to her the meaning of nothing is true.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to explain that to someone like Maya Angelou because they live that reality. People like Edward, people like Ezio, people like Arno, they have to be explained to the meaning of what nothing is true is.
Yeah.
People who live downtrodden, who are the hope and dream of the slave, don't have to have that explained to them.
Mm-hmm. It's a great point.
But as far as AC involvement officially, there's none. I really do think that she is at best an assassin ally because of her proximity to MLK and Malcolm X.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. We haven't had any games set. Really this late at all, but I'm curious how much of the civil rights movement, how much of those eras do we really know about?
We know a lot about that era of history from like the Vietnam War side.
Yeah.
And we know a lot about the Kennedy assassination. And I believe that MLK is assassinated by the Templars as well. And we know that that Malcolm X is assassinated by the Templars too. But I do think that I don't think the assassins are driving the civil rights movement. I think they are supporting it, but I don't think they're driving it because I think that gets at that's the antithesis of what they are supposed to do.
Yeah, they're not supposed to get involved in that. At most, they should be supporting people who are doing it organically.
Yes, and they should be moving the organic movements. And that's the thing about Connor is a great example of this. Of he kills patriots, he kills redcoats. It's whoever the Templars are putting in their wherever they are. And at one point, both the Templars and the assassins are on the patriot side in the war.
Right. Well, it's same as World War II, where they're, people on both sides of the war are working with the Templars.
Yes. All the major leaders are Templars. And we've talked about how we think FDR is a bad play for that, but I do think that assassin ally. I think Maya Angelou would understand and acknowledge the reality of what the Templars say about the depravity of the world, but she wouldn't accept their solution.
Yeah.
And
yeah, but I find personally you can pull out one piece of somebody's ideology and agree with that, fine. But with the Templars, with the assassins, there's just so much that goes along with both of their ideologies that it's hard to separate one little piece out. You really need to agree with all of it or none of it. You can't just pull one thing out and be like, oh, well, I agree with this, so I'll join them. It doesn't really work that way.
And I mean, we look at that, and that's one of the reasons that Hatham is a bad Templar.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Man.
And I'm sure there's more examples on the assassin side as well.
Yes, very much. I mean, Shay Cormac is a great example.
I was going to say Shay, but we hated on him a lot in his episode.
That's
so
true.
I figured I'd give him a break, but Austin did not agree.
Did you, I'll always hate on Shay. Sorry, Sir Sitz. Do you have anything else to add about Maya Angelou?
No, I mean, I think this is a really good one. I totally agree with you. Templar, assassin, friend at most. But honestly, I think it makes sense for her to have not been involved at all in the actual official organization. But I really always enjoy when we do these ones that are like not necessarily like, oh, a president or a senator or a political leader, but an entertainer, a writer, somebody that's in the humanities, because there's just a lot more analysis and theorizing that we can do. And so I think that's fun. So thank you, as always, for bringing the research, Austin. And thank you for listening to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. If you have any lore questions, theories, or topics you'd like us to unpack, join our Cups Podcasting and More Discord server. It is the best place on the internet.
You can also support the show financially and ensure its continuation by becoming a patron at patreon.com/ACLorecast. If you enjoyed the show or learned something new today, please subscribe, leave us a review, comment or rating, or join our Patreon.
The Assassin's Creed Lorecast is part of the Robots Radio Podcasting Network. If you enjoyed our show's intro or outro music, give a big shout out to Pipeman Studios.
And until next time, Assassins, and remember, stay in the shadows to serve the light.